And at 10, Chica. Stop, don't even think about it. This isn't a weird Rule 34 thing. This is legitimately because Chica is a chicken, and chicken is delicious. Sorry, PETA. Even if she isn't a real chicken, the character is still meant to be a chicken, so by proxy, chicken would taste normal, right? At least in the dimension where the character originates from. If we subscribe to the many worlds theory, much how like you should subscribe to the channel, what a segue, but there is a universe out there where the animatronics that we know from the FNAF franchise are real-life organic beings set on the destruction of humans. And there's another where we all live peacefully. There is also a universe where William Afton is real and I'm the one fighting him. No matter what, Chica is a chicken, and no matter what you say or want to interpret it with your fan art, there is nothing that can change the fact that she is literally a chicken. Her name is Chica the chicken. It's chicken, chicken is good. For the most part. And at 9, Ballora. Okay, there is no real safe way to say this, so I might as well go all in. Cannibalism is a real thing that people partake in. It's not a thing made up for video games, movies, or TV. People do it. We know that. There are famous serial killers that have famously eaten bits of human flesh. And if Ballora was real, cannibals would enjoy a nice home-cooked meal. On the other hand, and this applies to all of the animatronics, people eat metal. There is one man, known as Mr. Eats-All, who literally would eat anything. Somehow he was able to eat nuts, bolts, screws, light bulbs, an entire plane. Not joking, okay? This dude was a powerhouse. He literally brings his own things to restaurants so that they could add it to his plate. He ate a plane, he would eat bikes, he will finish his wine and then eat the glass no problem. He would have a field day when it comes to Ballora. This guy had eaten 18 bikes, 15 shopping carts, 7 TVs, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds and a pair of skis, a coffin, steel chain, and a partridge in a pear tree. But he can't eat bananas because it will give him heartburn. Literally. Unfortunately, Michel Lotito died at the age of 57 of natural causes. Yeah, this guy ate metal and glass for 41 years and died of natural causes. This list is dedicated to you, my man. And it ain't Bonnie. Bonnie is a rabbit, because bunnies and rabbits are the same thing, so don't flip your crap in the comments. Anyway, rabbits, while not being as common as chicken, they're still regularly eaten as dinner, on a less regular basis no doubt, but honestly I've had days where my girlfriend has brought home rabbit that she cooked in class. The taste is nearly the same to me, but I don't have that advanced of a palate, but it's literally meat, okay? Food is food, no matter what. Rabbit, while slightly gamier, is also as common as chicken. It's honestly weird that 50% of the original animatronics were actually regularly eaten, almost as if Scott intended for us to make this list. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't eat a purple rabbit, but I mean, if it was necessary and I was going to starve to death, I would honestly not think twice. Especially if we're in that universe where the animatronics are real organic beings instead of animatronics. I'm speaking about if these animatronics were real and not just the, you know, how the way they are with the robot parts and everything. Except for number 6. I said number, whatever. And at 7, Roblox. I looked up Glamrock versions of characters and somehow I kept getting loads of different Roblox versions of the FNAF animatronics. And this is goddamn terrifying for me. Why do you ask? Well, because it's Roblox. I don't like Roblox. The only good Roblox game is paintball and that's it, okay? Anytime we talk about Roblox, I feel an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me because ever since that list about like the worst things that people did on Roblox or something along those lines, I've seen the Roblox community as horrifically toxic and just something I can't really stand. Especially with the comments on like that one time I played Roblox on the channel and everyone got mad at me for just playing paintball, but like that environment combined with FNAF, which is already the bane of my existence at this point, and you get some pretty horrifying experiences that I don't want to deal with. And at 6, Drink Clowns. Lemonade Clown and Fruit Punch Clown make their appearance in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, also known as FNAF 6. The clowns are basically giant bulbs of their respective drink, and they disperse these drinks with like any drink machine would, but this time it's coming from their body instead of some tank that nobody can see. It's slightly terrifying when you think about it, but it also makes some of the most sense on this list. The others may be iffy, but this one is pretty damn solid. Well, I guess technically it's a liquid, so I shouldn't be joking about that. It's a very important matter. Haha! Look at me go with my terrible jokes and horrifying sense of humor. Oh, you weren't laughing? Why the hell not? We're talking about clowns, aren't we? Clowns are funny and not scary in the slightest. I mean, I see a clown every time I go back to my hometown. And no, I don't mean because most people in that town are jokes. Oh boy, that got aggressive. I wonder what could have done that to me. This lemonade is great, by the way. Thanks, Lemonade Clown. Halfway through into number 5, Slasher Fredbear. Slasher Fredbear by DeviantArt user PlayStation Jedi is an unholy abomination that must be stopped. I've talked about the Slasher animatronics before, particularly in the Bonnie animatronic versions list. However, Slasher Fredbear is so much worse. He may not have a shotgun axe guitar, but oh my god. Let me read the description of this animatronic in the words of PlayStation Jedi himself, so you can see what the creator thinks about him. Quote, "The largest and strongest of all the Slasher animatronics, Slasher Fredbear is an unstoppable force with enhanced strength and durability. Fredbear is capable of smashing through walls, withstanding lots of punishment, and grabbing heavy objects and throwing them across the room. While Fredbear uses his great strength to pick up and rip people in half, if he needs a quick kill, he can extend a blade mounted to his wrist and cut through people like butter. Or, if he needs a ranged attack, he can use his 2 wrist-mounted LMG guns. Fredbear can switch between these weapons on the fly, either using 2 LMGs or 2 blades or 1 on each wrist." What the hell, man? LMG standing for light machine gun. Kelly, by the way. Jesus ever-loving Christ, this will actually make me cry myself to sleep. Not to mention the spikes covering his body or the incredible amount of blood soaking it. And at 4, Shamrock Freddy. Being Irish, I do have a special place in my heart for Shamrock Freddy. He'll never come after me, Lucky Charms. Shamrock Freddy is a skin for the Freddy animatronic that appears in FNAF AR Special Delivery and was added on March 12, 2020 in time for the St. Patty's Day of the worst year ever. His appearance is fairly similar to that of regular Freddy, except being colored entirely green, as you can see here. Oh wait, that's awkward. Forgot I was on a green screen. Well, I guess you'll just have to imagine it. Unless the editor decided to put a picture of it to make me look ridiculous while saying this. The only difference about him and normal Freddy is the color, basically. But why would he be tasty, you say, with the confused look on your face? Well, Shamrock Shake. Duh. I've never actually had a Shamrock Shake because up until like this year I always forgot about it, but hey, everyone who has had it tells me it's delicious and hopefully they're not joking, otherwise I'm going to look even more ridiculous in this number. Getting close to the end into number 3, Blacklight Glamrocks. Some of the Blacklight versions of Glamrock animatronics are absolutely horrifying. While I'm not sure if the plushie versions are official products, the fan blender versions for the characters are freaking nuts. Chica with blue skin is not only off-putting but actually haunting. Same with a yellow Roxy. These are like if the Glamrock animatronics were Pokemon and then like these were the shiny versions of them. So far, the only Blacklight animatronics that we know of are the ones from Help Wanted that only really appeared in the animatronic maintenance minigames in Blacklight mode, but that were never used again and that we don't really get to see. It's terrifying to think about the lore implications as well. Like if this place turns off the light at night, but then turns on like a black light or something, like how do they change color? How are they not just neon whatever their color is? Because these peeps are colorful as hell. So why not just glow your own damn colors? See, my head is starting to hurt even just thinking about these things. Just please, keep them away from me. And at 2, Chocolate Bonnie. Chocolate Bonnie is kinda like an issue for me if I'm being honest. I'll lick the icing off a cupcake and hear it scream as I close my jaw around its face, but I would get a chocolate bunny every year for Easter and whenever I could get one for myself. Specifically, the Mr. Munchie that had the Rice Krispie-like things in it. Not sponsored, but I wish it was. And those rice-filled chocolate bunnies were some of the best memories I have. I love how some of my best memories I have from childhood are about eating chocolate bunnies. Says a lot, eh? Well, no matter, this kind of presents a crossroads. The chocolate bunny is an Easter skin for Bonnie from FNAF AR, but it's like, why does this thing need to be a thing? It's clearly chocolate because we don't see any of the robotic parts inside when looking in the hole on its side, but is it just chocolate? Could I pull a Scooby-Doo and eat my way out of this thing if it catches me and shoves it into its stomach? Does it have a stomach, or like the animatronic equivalent of one? I don't know anymore. It would still be tasty. Is it milk or dark chocolate? Finally, in at number 1, Toy Chica. Hey, mommy! Do I really need to say anything more? Rule 34, baby! And it's at Garvey, a psychopathic, cold-blooded killer. He stopped being human long ago. That's how Garvey is described in the extras of Dormitibus, the game from which he hails. Garvey is the penultimate antagonist to Dormitibus, and as a human, he was a man who murdered the missing children, and later went on to get trapped in Spring Bonnie, becoming Springtrap, and was burnt to a permanent death in the Fazbear Fright's fire. If only the real Afton could have taken that same route. Garvey is a more gory version of Springtrap from FNAF 3. However, However, it is not William Afton, as this game was released before that name reveal, even before FNAF 4. Springtrap, but with hardly any exosuit or animatronic casing, whatever you want to call it. Garvey crawls on all fours and uses his left hand as a foot and his left foot as a hand, like some form of demon monkey from hell that Satan didn't sanction the creation of. Just look at this thing and tell me that it shouldn't be on this list, okay? If you do, you'll actually be lying, and that will make Garvey just want you more. That's a face that not even furries could simp for. Come on. And at 9, Shadow Spring Bonnie. Shadow Spring Bonnie is one of the 2 primary antagonists of Final Nights 2. He's also one of the final animatronics in the game. Shadow Spring Bonnie resembles Springtrap, as to be expected when mentioning Springlock suits. Similar to Springtrap, he lacks the suit on his right feet and has the majority of his right ear missing. Overall, he has rips, but he's not really missing any limbs or parts overall, which is a stark contrast to the burnt animatronics from the first 4 nights of the game. His face glows white, which is noticeable when he is in the hallway, but it also gives him a more sinister appearance, and pushes the something supernatural idea that most Shadow animatronics have, like Shadow Bonnie from FNAF AR. Shadow Spring Bonnie takes the role of Burnt Freddy and Burnt Foxy on night 5, and is very fast, so the player must seal the vent quickly or else they'll get jump scared. He may also appear in the hallway, but if he does, never use your flashlight or you will get insta-killed, and you should inspect his face when he appears there. If he's twitching, close the door. A rattling sound will let you know when he's left. The fact that you actually need to look at his face to see if you're in danger is horrifying, especially when most of what you need to do in this game relies on fast reflexes, you having to sit there and process something, especially for me, who processes something at the speed of a snail. That's gonna be rough. And at 8, Scrap Nightmare Bonnie. What's that? 2 Bonnie animatronics in a row on a list that's not about Bonnie? Yes, you heard it, but mostly because I was scrolling through Google and these are the 2 that caught my eye first. Bonnie, the scariest animatronic to some, even Scott Cawthon, who would have nightmares about him. This is probably why you didn't end up getting a Scrap animatronic. Yet here we are with the fanbase once again showcasing that their only desire is to watch the world burn and laugh while we all go up in flames. And while fans have also made a normal Scrap Bonnie, making you a nightmare as well is the fly trap icing on top of the shit cake. The concept of the nightmare animatronics is certainly freaky, but the fact that they aren't real kind of soothes me, you know? Sure, none of these animatronics are real, but in the context of their universe, the nightmare animatronics aren't real and can't actually hurt you. But with the implication of the scrapped nature of this version, it also seems to suggest that they are real, and that makes it freakier. But also the potential that the arm at the end of the security breach trailer, the first one that was never referenced again, by the way, Steel Wool, well, it wasn't referenced in the trailers again, it was just the one arm, and then we find out that it's Afton. It kind of looks like Nightmare Freddy, and that only adds to the idea that these animatronics could potentially be real at some point soon. But I know that's not actually a thing, and if the Nightmare animatronics for some reason end up coming into our world, I'm done with FNAF. Honestly. At least it's more likely to be Glamrock Bonnie's arm, but still. And at 7, Dreadbear. This idea actually comes from the VR YouTuber Eddie VR. Amanda and I have mentioned him before, and honestly I love his videos. However, he makes all the FNAF stands mad by giving nicknames to the animatronics, like how I make them mad when I tell them that Springtrap isn't an animatronic because he's not. He calls multiple characters by food equivalents. For example, Mangle is mangoes, Chica is Kentucky, Springtrap is tortillas, and Plushtrap is Tortilla's son. He also calls Dreadbear elotes, which is Spanish for corn, because honestly, have you seen Dreadbear's teeth? They look like they're straight up a fresh cob of corn. He went through the Foxy maze and just started picking up corn and shoving it down his metal interior until eventually he became a corn. It's weird, and honestly, knowing that it's his teeth kinda makes it less appetizing, but that's why he's at number 7, right? I can't explain why he's higher than Bonnie, because Bonnie would actually be food. Don't come for me, PETA. But I can't explain why he's higher than Chica, you know? Because I had to get you to stay somehow. If you see number 10 and it's not something that will kind of make you open your jaw with either excitement, surprise, or lust, then you weren't gonna stick around for something as ridiculous as this list. I had to put Chica first, but I don't know why he's higher than Bonnie. And at 6, Fred Trap. To be honest, I searched this up just for the hell of it, and there are actually Fredbear versions of Springtrap, and honestly I don't know why I didn't think that there would be. Fred Trap is exactly what you'd expect. Springtrap's look on a yellow Freddy animatronic. The designs are actually really well made and honestly are scarier than normal Springtrap to me. For some reason, I guess I just think bears are scarier than bunnies. I think that Scott made William use the spring Bonnie suit because of how scared Scott was of Bonnie, but like that's just idle speculation. It's not actually true, so it's just personal headcanon, you know? There are also even more rundown versions and even scrap versions of Fred Trap, which are already haunting when you don't think about the fact that it would still be William inside the suit being kept alive by the spirit of his dead son. Fred Trap is definitely one of the more strangely unique versions of any animatronic I've seen on this list, but like, still, it's pretty damn impressive. You gotta admit, this is pretty cool. Halfway through in at number 5, Glamrock Puppet. Again, every time I make a list about discussing creepy animatronics, a freaking puppet always makes it on. That's mostly because the puppet is a freaky character to begin with, and I feel like the phone guy whenever I call the puppet creepy, but it is creepy. And the Glamrock Puppet is no exception. This character wasn't originated in the Furries Rage game like I figured it would be, but instead it's just like a separate design that no matter what just looks like it wants to bring me to the back of the pizza joint to show me how the pepperoni gets put on the pizza. And no, I don't mean literally. Yes, that was an allusion to something else. And not only does it come with its own creepy ass concept art, but it also comes with Minecraft skins, because of course it does. This is one of the weirdest versions of the puppet, not taking into account Scrap Puppet, Withered Puppet, or Reaper Puppet from Final Nights 3. This is like the 4th weirdest and scariest puppet, and there's nothing really scary about it. It feels wrong to me, and the whole pepperoni thing. And at 4, Golden Call. As a human when alive, Golden Call's name was Kyle. However, now he is a Springlock victim stuck inside a Golden Freddy Springlock suit. Golden Call has a typical rundown Springlock suit vibe, similar to Springtrap. However, this time it's even more gruesome. His left ear is bent, he has bugs coming out of basically every hole in his body, human eyes are hanging out of the animatronic's eye sockets, he is missing exosuit on his right foot, and the character is holding a flesh-colored, at least flesh-colored, it might even be flesh made phone in his right hand that stays stuck to his head via more flesh and blood strands connecting to the side of his head. Yeah. Dude, this is horrifying. This is a monstrosity. And looking at his age on the wiki, Kyle was only 5 years old when he got Springlock, which is absolutely nuts and just like flat out horrible. It's so unfortunate. He was supposed to be the next best Fortnite player. He killed Ninja and Tfue. That's a joke for you long-term subs right there. Although if you stuck around after those videos, I'd be surprised. And at 3, the Cupcake. Do I really need to say anything here? The Cupcake is its own animatronic, which I am correcting from a long time ago in a list about scariest animatronics or something like that, I don't know. We do plenty of FNAF videos because the FNAF videos do better than anything else on the channel. Like, we know we milk it, but they keep doing well, so we're gonna keep making more. But if you can't get enough of FNAF and love the series as much as us, click up in the top right corner because we have a playlist of almost 90 videos now. It's nuts. Over 13 hours of FNAF content for you to enjoy. But the Cupcake animatronic is literally the only pure food item from any of the main FNAF games. It's literally a cupcake. Yes, it would technically in a way be sentient since it hops around the room in FNAF VR while repairing Chica, but you know what? The sentience makes it better. Make it more personal. I want to hear the cupcake scream as I devour its interior and delicious and sticky icing. Damn, this is really good lemonade. Yo, Lemonade Clown, what's up? Penultimately, in at number 2, Reaper Puppet. If you didn't know, the Reaper Puppet was the first fan animatronic ever featured on this channel in the top 10 scary FNAF animatronics list around like a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. The first FNAF video by me on this channel, by the way, was from January 29th, 2020. Can you believe that? It's actually been over 2 years. And the video I'm talking about came out about a month later, on February 24th, 2020. So yeah, it's been over 2 years. So I have a long history with this character. The Reaper Puppet, along with Shadow Bonnie and the brother from Final Nights 1, are the only animatronics in the entire Final Night series to start off a night outside. Reaper Puppet also appears to be a counterpart to the original series Puppet, though it is only the Reaper Puppet's head that is similar to the core series. The rest of its body is a dark shade of black. It has long stretching arms and sharp fingers at the hands like the Grim Reaper, and Reaper Puppet has multiple tentacle-like legs, which kinda gives me PTSD because of the blob. Reaper Puppet can easily be mistaken for a tree as its legs look look like roots and its shoulders look like branches. But the thing is so creepy that I included it on a list that shouldn't have had fan animatronics on it, okay? But I was incredibly creeped out and I felt compelled to make it a thing. Mostly because I wanted to use it for the thumbnail, okay? Like how kids in Fazbear Frights are drawn to the restaurants, I'm drawn to the Reaper puppet. And finally, in at number 1, actual nightmares. From a series of Reddit posts from a now deleted user called FNAF 4, but it's actually something you would see in a nightmare. These horrific half-wits are exactly what I would genuinely expect to see in a nightmare. Like, why would you do that to poor mommy Chica? This was the thumbnail image I used for the iconic Scary FNAF Creepypastas video on Top 10 Gaming Elite. The 8th video released on that channel at this point, and I think it's still the most popular video on that channel. But it really makes me wonder why I didn't use that in a video at any point before this. Like, this is the first time I'm actually talking about these characters, which is kind of absolutely crazy. And I used Freddy for the scariest fan animatronics you will ever see video, which only made me want to talk about it more. Actually, I'm pretty sure I've used all 3 in thumbnails before. I used Bonnie for like a Bonnie Theories video as well, like damn. For some reason, the author didn't want to or didn't end up making a Nightmare Fredbear or Foxy in these styles, so I guess that this was probably enough for them. And honestly, I think it was enough for the internet because I'm like, damn, okay, these things are hella creepy. Even worse than the Reaper or Havoc Puppet. That's right, I said it. Havoc Puppet wasn't even on this list, but still. In at 10, FNAF 2020. These Glamrock animatronics are from the FNAF 2020 series of drawings from DeviantArt user Senior Artsy, who I believe we've seen on this channel before in some other fan versions videos. However, I don't want to call out one animatronic specifically, but rather the whole collection of Glamrock versions from this 2020 set, because while yes, these animatronics will mostly be in the game, with the exception of some like Bonnie, these color palettes and designs are much more sinister than their previous versions, especially Vanny and Freddy. Since giving Freddy a panda face, I don't know why, but just for some reason makes me kinda scared of him. And I think it's because the rest of his body isn't a panda, and it's just his face, so it's like he's wearing a mask and gonna rob you or something. I don't know the psychology behind it, but I think we can all agree, especially that Vanny looks like she should not be playing in a kid's game. And at 9, Glamrock Bonnie. I think the freakiest part about Glamrock Bonnie is just the fact that they're not going to be in the game. So far as I know at least, the only mention of Bonnie will be a bowling alley that we probably aren't gonna get to use, but for the most part, like with the rest of these animatronics, the designs aren't scary. Well, aside from the Minecraft model. Like, what's with people and making Minecraft animations for FNAF characters? And like FNAF, I don't understand it. I'd also like it to be noted that instead of animations, I spelled animatronics when I was writing that list initially, and I also did it again while writing this line. That's how much FNAF has taken over my life. I can't write animation anymore. So I hope you people are fucking happy. But either way, these versions, aside from one version from a Twitter user called ManutArt, aren't really all that menacing. But the idea that people are creating additional animatronics is scary enough for me, because I don't want to deal with the additional lore that would come from that, okay? And at 8, Glamrock Foxy. Speaking of not wanting to deal with additional lore, Glamrock Foxy would also add a lot of unnecessary amount of annoyance to the game. At this point, Roxy is basically the love child of Foxy and Bonnie, and even has a name that kind of reflects on the whole like meant to be Foxy thing, since Roxy is just a combination of Rock and Foxy. Like, it's also an actual name, but I figured I'd mention that it's basically a combination of the 2 words, and she plays guitar, and so there's a link to Bonnie. However, the main issue with this comes from the fact that Foxy is just, it's scarier than Bonnie. I know all you die-hard Bonnie stans are gonna come for me, and I get that Scott had nightmares about him, but honestly, there's just no contest between these 2 characters. Foxy is scarier than Bonnie, and that means that his Glamrock would end up being scarier as well, especially if you take the toy animatronics as an example. The Glamrocks are very close design-wise to the toys, so keeping that in mind, the toy variant of Foxy is still scarier than Bonnie's. Case closed. And at 7, Am I Real? Am I Real, also known as Cake Bear, is presumably the primary and most recurring antagonist in Dormitibus. Am I Real has 2 different forms. His first form is Cake Bear. Cake Bear's design originated from the Save Him minigame in FNAF 2, where he delivered cake to children while a child is killed outside. He is also the predecessor to both Fredbear and Freddy Fazbear. Cake Bear is a brown bear animatronic that also acts as a spring-locked suit that appears in most of the main nights. Although they look slightly similar, the only similarities that he really has to Freddy Fazbear is that they both possess a top hat. They're also brown, have blue eyes, and are a bear. That's it. And my real second form is a form that resembles Springtrap. This form has a green color much like Springtrap and contains human remains. His right eye socket has gotten bigger on the side and a big hole can be seen on the right side of his head. His top hat has received some withering on it as well. His lower jaw is slanted and worn down, no longer circular like Cake Bear's, and he has a sizable hole in the right side of his torso as well, revealing organs. Yep, that's right, that's the kind of game this is. Rips and tears cover his arms, revealing more and more human remains, and he appears to be missing at least one finger on his right hand for whatever reason, and is absolutely just terrifying to look at. And of course, 4 out of 10 of these are going to be from Dormitibus, okay? Did you watch the whole Dormitibus animatronics lists from a while ago? Those are nuts, okay? And at 6, Withered Glamrock Freddy. I've said it before, Withered animatronics are probably some of the weirdest and creepiest animatronics there are. I personally find Withered Bonnie way creepier than Nightmare Bonnie, probably because of the whole lack of a face thing. But with the new Glamrock animatronics on their way in a month, it was only a matter of time before someone withered them. Searching Withered Chica only really gets you pictures of like Chica from the Broken teasers and the trailer, so instead I'm going with Withered Glamrock Freddy because these are creepy as hell. Every version of Withered Glamrock Freddy makes me concerned that we're climbing into his belly to pilot him like some really energy inefficient mech suit. Like, thinking about it, that's a really bad idea. This guy not only looks scary, but also made me realize the error of Gregory's ways, which makes him even worse. When we ultimately do get crushed at the end of this game, I'm calling it now so that when it does happen I can say I called it. This is how I imagine Glamrock Freddy looking. Or, if this is post FNAF 3 and the company has been ruined, maybe this is what the animatronics look like, except they're using those sound illusion discs to make us think otherwise. Halfway through at number 5, Gumball Swivelhands. Gumball Swivelhands is one of the FNAF 6 animatronics obtained at Stan's Budget Tech for $125 of in-game currency, obviously. Could you imagine if it was real money, like this game was just gonna be one giant cash grab like any mobile game or EA game? Well, Gumball is literally what he sounds like, a gumball machine with a face and rotating hands, which gives it its name. He has a propeller hat and kinda looks like he just drank a gallon of paint. His chest is a gumball dispenser and his head is a bowl full of gumballs colored red, green, blue, purple, yellow, and orange. And from the looks, pink, but it's not listed on the wiki, so that could just be the light reflecting off the animatronic. I'm not entirely sure. I saw pink. I could just be going crazy. Other than the dispenser and the head and arms, Gumball doesn't really have much of a body, only being supported by a pole like any other gumball dispenser. Talk about having a pole up your ass, am I right? And at 4, Glamrock Plush. Okay, so technically these are official and licensed plushies, so they're not really fan-made, but there are other versions on Etsy that are actually fan-made, so there are some fan-made versions. And honestly, those are the ones that you should be getting, because look at these fucking things. Why are the Glamrock Security Breach plushies so funky looking? They look horrible. Like, this was actually so much of an issue that many people had with these plushies that it caused a bit of an uproar within the community when they were first revealed. Not only that, but because, you know, Funko has a history of just leaking everything for some reason, and they don't look like the other plushies that they've released before. Like, if you're gonna make real plushies, at least make them look the same as they did in the VR games, so that we can like actually really see them and hold them, because we've already seen them before. It's not that hard, guys, really. These Security Breach Glamrock plushes are some of the worst proportioned and most horrifying plushies I've seen. And I saw the one that Scott Lang gave to his daughter in Ant-Man, and the bloodthirsty minion my father gave to my sister. These are still the most horrific ones that I've seen though, okay? If I had these, I would be scared for my life. Although, mentioning that, they are on my Amazon wish list, so if you guys want to, I'm just kidding, I don't have an Amazon wish list, I'm not a girl. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Reaper Spring Bonnie. Reaper Spring Bonnie is absolutely terrifying, okay? This Reaper variant appears in Final Nights 3 and 4s, and is an absolute monstrosity, but is definitely more terrifying in Final Nights 4. He is 100% the scariest animatronic in these games. In essence, Reaper Spring Bonnie is a nightmare spring trap. He has sharp teeth and a very damaged and withered body. His suit is dark yellow in color, he sports a big purple bow tie on his upper chest, and like other Reaper animatronics, Reaper Spring Bonnie has one pair of hollow, dark, cold eyes. eyes. In Final Nights 4, however, his appearance is more disfigured and gruesome, with sharper claws, sharper teeth, a different jaw, growths on his shoulder pads resembling fungi, and a gooier appearance overall, I should say. He is also missing half of his right ear, similar to Springtrap from FNAF 3, and his suit is more greenish in color, also like Springtrap. But oh my god, okay, this thing is way more terrifying than Springtrap. This dude is 100% like just nightmare fuel. And ultimately, in at number 2, Nightmare Glamrocks. Nightmare animatronics are designed to be the scariest versions of their respective animatronics, and that's why there are so many fan-made versions, because while elements like rugged exosuits and stomach mouths are common, you can really just head anywhere, same with scrap versions. However, these nightmare versions are something else. Considering their original pristine appearance in the trailers and promo images, well, with the exception of Chica, there is a stark contrast between the two versions. They seem to be just the ultimate nightmare aesthetic going on with these characters, specifically. I don't know why these animatronics specifically make me think that way, because maybe it's because like Glamrock Chica is my babe, but now she's not, but like even still. Glamrock Bonnie isn't even a thing yet, but their Nightmare Glamrock version is scarier than their normal Nightmare version. Stay away from these, don't look them up, although you've already seen them because it's in the edit. So, I'm sorry. And finally, in at number 1, scrap Glamrock animatronics. With Security Breach releasing in less than a month, we had to include a group of animatronics as scrapped versions on this list. And honestly, it's actually a good idea, considering how Chica in that promotional image seems pretty scrapped already. They really wouldn't have to do much to make that work out. However, the versions that I've actually seen are scarily horrific in a way that makes me concerned if they'll be in the real game. I don't think these would be in the game, but based on my old theory that I had about how these characters are kind of acting like zombies and like eating animatronic, or I guess not animatronic, but like other robotic parts. This look just makes me feel too right, especially when we see in the trailer Chica getting progressively more destroyed. I feel like this might actually end up being a thing. These animatronics being made into scrap animatronics are honestly some of the freakiest custom scrap versions that I've seen. This is some freaky scrap. I tried to stay away from anything like that was like too pristine, I guess. Cause like what I used to do in previous alternate fan version videos was just look up adjectives. Like if it was like scary nightmare and like fan versions, I would just look up like withered nightmare, something else nightmare. I would just add that. I would just add adjectives to nightmare's name. So I tried to avoid that this time, but scrap and nightmare are always a classic way to go, okay? If there's gonna be a Halloween update for this game though, Scott, or I guess Steel will at this point, you need to add these. That would be fun.